My coworker's always like, I want that for my daughter. And I'm like, well, you can't have my makeup bag. But you go to Borders and spend $10 to get one for yourself.
I'm an adult.
And I'm an adult.
All right. We good? All right, Inebri-arts. We are here with our good friend Tina Scott, who's been on the Old Colony cast like twice now.
Wow.
Has been coming to life drawing for, it seems like forever.
It's been about a year.
Yeah, it seems like
been
we
coming
go
for about a year
I
now.
feel like we go way back, even though it's only been about a year.
I know, that's pretty chill.
So,
I always like when that happens with people.
Tina is here to talk about pilgrims. So tell us about pilgrims.
Every single time I've been on the show, it's to talk about my work.
No, so we brought you on because we love your artwork. You've entered into a couple of our art shows. Yeah. You have won some award at one of our art shows.
I won People's Choice at the first one, and I won third place in the second one.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
I didn't win anything in the last one, but oh well.
Well, first of all, Stuart Adams fucking swept the competition, like... And then at the end was like, I've only been painting for 3 years. And everyone's like, fuck that guy!
His paintings are so nice.
They were amazing. Yeah. They really were. He deserved them all. Like
I can't even be mad
I wish we had enough money and trophies to give to everybody. You know,
no, that's why it's competition, baby.
But
Don't
that's
worry.
the thing is, like, I don't want to be like, oh, everyone gets participation. But, like, they were really good paintings.
That was a nice show.
Yeah.
Good job, guys.
Thanks.
I was really proud to be a part of that show.
Thanks, man.
It was cool.
So, you like drawing paint stuff?
Yeah, I like drawing and painting stuff.
It's cool. Awesome. Great. Good to have you on the podcast.
Yeah, glad to be here. I guess that's it.
How did you get started?
How did I get started?
Yeah, like, was this something that you've done since you were, like, little?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, the thing is, there's child Tina who liked art, and then there's adult Tina who rediscovered art. You know what I mean? So, like, when I was young...
So what did, like, child Tina like about art?
Art has always been a coping mechanism for me.
Yeah.
So, art was born...
I feel like that is for a lot of people.
Yeah, 1,000%. Yeah. It's something I have in a solidarity with a lot of people. Yeah. Like, we all understand that it's been a little bit of a world you can escape into, something you can create and find comfort in.
Yeah.
So, as a kid, I was bullied a lot, and to the point where I had to change schools, and I got pulled out and moved to a different town, and so I had a really hard time when I was kind of stuck in my original school.
Yeah.
And I used art as an escape all of the time. It was a thing I knew I could do. It was a thing I had control in, and it was a thing I knew how to have fun with.
And that's like one thing that I wish that, and there's no explaining to it to a kid who's going through it at the time.
Oh yeah.
But I feel like, I mean, I was bullied when I was a kid, and I feel like, I've said it before, I feel like everyone who's creative has kind of a dark side or a dark past.
Oh yeah.
You know,
that creativity comes from somewhere.
It comes from...
No one's just born with it.
Right. It's almost like you learn to deal with the bullshit.
It needs to manifest out of some trauma or something.
So I feel like that is a very common thread that everyone can kind of deal with. You get the kind of residual crap that follows along with that when you get to like the Harvey Weinstein type, when it's just like...
Oh yeah.
You know, it's like I understand where that happens, but like, what kind of advice would you give someone that's like really struggling through, you know, that adolescent hardship?
When you're a kid and you're struggling, it's like, I mean, at least when I was a kid and I was really like, you know, it hit me hard working, because my mom had a lot of really cool friends who were kind of outsiders and stuff, and they often took me aside and they were like took my hands and they're like, Tina, you have to understand this is such a small fraction of your life. There's so much more ahead. So it always gave me hope, like realizing that if I could make this kind of stuff within a week, of, you know, being a child and what I was dealing with and stuff, it's like, I mean, I have no concept of time. I was like, what, like 12?
Right.
But like, thinking about the grand scheme of things, 12 is like a 10% of your life. So I always kind of thought about...
It was really like 1% of mine. I'm going to be like 1,000, so...
The more you think about what I could create in that moment, I was like, yo, I should... It always kept me going. Like, I should stay alive, because what if cool things happen to me and I could keep making stuff from it? You know, I always think about what I can make that can teach someone else that you should wait it out.
Yeah.
You know, every problem is a temporary problem. You know, so it's kind of like...
I feel like there's two types of people. I feel like there's people that are like, high school is the best time of my life.
The glory days.
Yeah, and you get those people when they're older, and you're like, yeah, all right, yeah, dude, I'm going to go somewhere else because you're lame. And then you get the people be like, it was a hardship and it was a struggle, and then I found my people afterwards, or like going through the same hardship. And you get outside of high school and you realize that the quarterback on the football team in high school doesn't mean shit.
Yeah,
you know? And there's so much more in the grand scheme of things.
It's really, when I was in high school, I was involved with, I was the only art person, almost. Yeah. I got, the
Where did you go to school?
I went to high school.
Yeah.
I went to Silver Lake.
Okay.
Over in Kingston.
Yeah. And
I was like the only art kid. I did AP art. It was when they introduced that as a thing, and I did it after school with my teacher.
Yeah.
Because there was only one person involved with it, and
that's
stuff. It was a very sport-driven school.
Yeah.
Which is funny now because then I went. Yeah. It's always been a sport-driven school.
I feel like a lot of schools are sport-driven.
Oh yeah, especially on the South Shore. It's very white boy sport kind of thing. Yep. But when I left high school, I went to Pratt Institute.
Yeah.
I actually went to school for fashion design, and then I dropped out of that after like 2 weeks.
Wow, and you're wearing that?
Listen, this denim shirt with embroidered lighthouses on it is
actually
incredible.
I like it. I just had to make that joke. I just had to make that joke.
They're all different.
I like it.
Thank you.
I was just making a joke.
I will fight
you were being mean to me earlier because we're friends now and stuff.
Yeah, okay.
And really, is anyone wearing that sweatshirt gonna make fashion choice decisions?
Exactly.
This was my dog won't fucking sleep and insist on standing on my head so I can't sleep.
Okay, but what are you gonna say about the sneakers, Andy?
I broke my ankle and they're comfortable.
Okay, fine. I guess you could say that. Anyway.
My ankle.
I went to Pratt, and I ended up dropping out of fashion, went into illustration and communications design. And after working in nonprofits for New York, I moved back. And I met my partner, Scott, who I went to high school with.
Yeah.
And he was on the sports teams, and he was a little bit more popular than me, and so he had a completely different friend group than I do.
Yeah.
So moving back, I integrated a lot.
Do you feel that those people, once they get out of high school, are more... like the cliques kind of fall away, and
that's what it's going to get into.
And then it almost becomes like, oh, we were in the same class together. And
it was a lot of like, wow, you were so cool in high school, and I was like, really? I wanted to kill myself because you told me I should kill myself. So it was a lot of like instances like that where it kind of made me realize that like, wow, although I don't feel like I'm like as good as I could be, I'm in a much better place of understanding and recognition within myself.
I feel like anyone who feels they're as good as they can be is full of shit.
I feel like I have a better understanding of who I am after these, weird transitions and going to parties where I've had 2 instances where girls have broke down crying, drunk, to me, apologizing for how they treated me.
Really?
And, I'm drunk, and I'm like, I don't know what to do.
I feel like you should go talk to someone else.
The empath part of me is like, oh, they're there.
Yeah.
I get it. And then the, bitch part of me
you're like, I hope you're throwing up later.
Who the fuck are you? Leave me alone.
Because I have found that, I was very much an art kid. I was a music kid. In freshman year, I basically took the things I had to, so by the time I got to junior, senior year, I had more choice, and, I took more, classes I wanted to take.
Yeah.
So I pretty much, so I spent most of my time in either the music room or the art room. And I find, to this day, that people will still come up to me. It happened, a couple years ago. I was at work at Home Depot. Or the big box... home improvement store that I hated working at.
Home Depot.
Yeah, Home Depot.
Oh, Home Depot.
Yes.
Yeah, that one. And this dude's like, Andy! And I'm like, hi. And he's like, I'm so-and-so. I still don't remember what his name is. So, I'm so-and-so. I'm like, okay. He's like, we went to school together. I'm like, did we?
So nice to see you.
And he starts going on. I'm like, oh, I ran into so-and-so, and I ran into so-and-so. And I'm like, that's great. Don't care.
You know? Always. And while I respect it, at the same time, it's like, it gives me the opportunity to check myself and realize how much I've gone through to lead up to this point, to have this, checked recognition, being like, wow, I've come really far.
Yeah.
It's like, so at the same, I get a little annoyed, and then sometimes I'm a little appreciative.
Well,
it's always a mixed feeling.
It's not that I get annoyed. It's more I didn't know you then.
Yeah, no, that's totally it. I didn't know you then.
But because you remember me, I
have to know you now.
We quote unquote had this shared experience that you want to now reminisce about.
Yeah.
Either you being an asshole or you not being involved in my life whatsoever.
Yeah.
And my closest friends in high school, I may not have talked to for 6 months, but I could pick up the phone and those 6 months never happened when we pick up we left off.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like the oddball kids have that in common.
Oh yeah, we all get it.
So
it's
in retrospect, as much as it sucked at the time, I don't think I'd want to be.
No, I totally think about that. I was like, man, I look back in high school and I think about all the times I want to kill myself, and I'm like, so glad I didn't. And so glad I am who I am now, because I wouldn't go back.
I'm super glad, because we use you on the podcast a lot.
That's a good one, Andy. But really, though, it's, I look back and I always...
amazing artwork.
Thank you. Thank you.
And the thing that has always drawn me to it is the fact that you have very macabre imagery in very Dayglow happy colors.
Yeah, I get that.
How did you stumble upon that?
I get that comment a lot.
Done? Yeah.
So, like I said, my art is a coping mechanism, and something I've established throughout my life is I've developed a high functioning personality to kind of counteract my depression, anxiety, and my obsessive compulsive disorder.
Okay.
So basically, I've done very well at hiding that I'm suffering in any way, because it's so easy for me to click on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So my art is one of those things where my subject matter is a very obvious, eyeballs, rotting flesh,
the People's Choice that won your first art show.
Because a little pudgy baby bird.
Everyone's like, oh, it's a pudgy bird. And you're like, wait, is it carrying a finger?
A severed, rotting finger?
Yeah.
Yeah, my painting that won People's Choice was a beautiful little pudgy bird carrying a severed finger amongst thorns. But it was painted in a very pastel-y greens and purples and pinks and blues.
It's very bright. Yeah.
So yeah, my color palette is always this I want people to look at my paintings and immediately feel a sense of relief, because it's comfort colors. They're peace, they're happiness colors. They're not soft blues, but they're baby colors, they're child colors. Yeah. They make you feel a little immature looking at it, but then you look at the subject matter.
They're primary and fluorescent and very bright. Yeah.
I have a lot of fun with my color choice, and then you look at the subject matter and you're like, shit, maybe this has a few layers to it. Because I think that's what people realize when they meet me. Yeah. People meet me first off, and they're like, oh, she's very high-functioning. She has her shit put together. She's very successful, blah, blah, blah. I hate saying that, but people have said that to me. You come off as a very cool person. And I'm like, oh, that sucks, 'cause I have breakdowns almost every day. I suffer too, baby. You know what I mean?
I would not have picked that.
Exactly. Yeah. No one would know. Whenever, I like to talk openly about my mental illness, because I feel like I'm a great example of it.
Yeah.
Because I'm someone who struggled with OCD, self-harm, depression for a very long time, but I don't come off that way.
No.
I'm very good at hiding it, which is a blessing and a curse. So I went for a long time without getting help, because I hid it from myself, and I hid it from everyone, and
denial is very powerful.
Exactly. So, my paintings are very good at making you dig a little deeper as to what your first glance at the painting, it's not going to be your last glance at the painting. You have to look at it a few more times to realize maybe this has some more things to it, And, that's kind of something my work I never have a message, I want to say.
Yeah.
They're all coping. They're all just me getting how I'm feeling.
So they're all for you.
They really are for me.
Yeah.
So I've never been someone who's really marketed my paintings in a way, because I've tried. I just don't feel comfortable with it, because I'm not doing it for that reason.
Yeah.
I'm doing it because it's what feels right for me in the moment. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So whenever anyone buys my paintings or likes my paintings, stuff, I take it so personally, and so in this way that's wow, it's like a piece of me just ripping my arm off and just giving it to someone. I'm glad you want this part of me. Here, have this. You know.
So
what I mean?
You're almost. Are you reluctant to sell pieces, or?
I can be a little bit.
Yeah.
It takes me some time.
Are there certain pieces that you're more reluctant to sell, or are there ones that you'll never sell?
I think at this moment I'd sell any of them.
Yeah.
There was one point before I was on medication. I've been taking Zoloft for about 7 months now.
Okay.
And so it's been a huge change in my life.
Yeah.
But now I'm much more better at letting these pieces of me go, because I no longer see them as like pieces of me. I see them as pieces of who I was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I'm constantly evolving.
Right.
So I'm no longer stuck in a rut. I'm like, I can recognize my steps towards a different part of who I am going to be.
Yeah.
So it's cool to let those pieces go. You know what I mean? Like, I recognize that arrow
Almost
of time
like shedding
was here.
that, like...
Yes. And it's
that's
like...
that baggage from back there.
I see it
Let
as
me
giving...
paint new baggage.
Exactly. I see it as giving an old purse I had, like a nice piece of baggage,
Yeah.
to another person that they can put their stuff in.
Right.
You know, it's like, here's a piece of my old baggage to help you with your current baggage. Something like that. I like when my work can give someone else something. I have a much different appreciation for that now that I've been medicated. And I, understand.
Yeah. Well, I think it's really inspiring that you're that open to talking about it, because most people
aren't.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I suppose that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Or feel some shame, and it's like everyone has their bullshit.
Oh yeah.
No one's perfect.
Thing is, for years I felt a lot of shame in who I was. I felt a lot of shame in who I was, and the only way I found answers as to what was going on with me was through conversation, was through the internet.
Yeah.
Really. And people just opening themselves. And it took me a long time. When I left New York in 2015, I had probably one of the biggest breakdowns I've ever had in my life. I lived for 7 months of having these terrifying thoughts. My OCD is pure OCD. So I have...
Now, can we just go on the record, and I'm not... This is more to other people, not to you.
Yeah.
Because I hear so many people be like, oh, my OCD makes me keep my pens on the left side of my desk. And I'd be like, fuck you, you don't know what OCD is.
The worst thing in the world.
It's like, that is not... Just because you are particular doesn't mean you're OCD.
Yes.
True
completely.
OCD is, debilitating.
OCD can be crippling, debilitating, and there's so many different forms of it, which
Yeah.
is why it's extremely hard to pinpoint sometimes. Because the thing is, the media tells us that cleaners, organizers, these are the people that's
Right.
oh, you put all the green on this side, you're OCD. It's like, no.
Right, no, you're
that's
just
not necessarily
organized.
it.
Yeah.
Exactly. So the thing I have, which is another reason it took me so long to figure out that I had OCD and I wasn't just a psychopath, was everything I have is all mental.
Yeah.
So I don't flick light bulbs. I don't turn the lights on and off. I don't retrace my steps.
Yep.
I just have mental rituals, so I'll rethink and ruminate on certain thoughts that I didn't choose to think about for a long time.
Oh, see, that's interesting, because I would have never thought of that type of thing as being an OCD thing.
Yes. So I don't drive. I've never driven.
Yeah.
That is an aspect of my OCD, is that the moment I sit in a car, my brain, this happens even when I'm not sitting in a car, I just think about hitting people, and I think about killing people, and I think that I'm going to kill someone, so I don't start the car. Because if I start the car, I'll kill someone.
That was my question. Is it a fear, or you have a list?
It's
I'm
literally
going to kill this motherfucker.
just this weird thing.
And where on the list is Andy?
Yeah, this is very important.
Number 7, but you didn't have it from me. I'm just kidding.
Who are the other 6 people I need to walk behind?
Basically, it's just
What, you want to line them up for you?
I feel like 7, I have a chance of getting out of the way.
My brain just puts thoughts in my head that I didn't ask for.
Yeah.
That I'm very against. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so it's
yeah.
something that I'm morally against. Oh my god! These things that's why it's so troubling, because I'm so morally against them.
There's a. You just remind me, and it makes light of it. But there's a Robin Williams movie about a kid with he doesn't know who his father is, and he's got it's kind of like a Odd Couple kind of thing.
I'm trying to remember.
And Robin Williams is kind of the zany anal expulsive person who's kind of all over there. And one of his fear, he gets behind and he constantly stops the car I just hit somebody. Is it
you have to go back and check?
Yeah, yeah. That
is a thing. That's an aspect of it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it was so hard to pinpoint what was going on with me. When I left New York, I had this. I was my entire trip into work. I would just panic. I'll train and freak out. There's so many aspects where I would just sit there for hours ruminating in my own head, and I had no idea what was going on with me. And I finally moved home, and then I like saw a therapist. I started doing these things, and that's when, you know, I started going on to these online, you know, chat rooms and like basically talking with people is how I figured out that I wasn't alone.
Yeah.
It took me so long to realize that I wasn't a psychopath.
Well, I think everybody feels like they're alone.
Exactly.
You know?
We all feel like we're alone. And like the moment you think something crazy, I thought, I was constantly thinking about dying and killing people. I thought I was crazy. No, it was just my brain doing stuff that I didn't want it to do.
Right.
Because I didn't want to think those thoughts, you know? So, and it's embarrassing to admit that you're thinking those things. So
which is why most people don't, and I think it's very heroic that you're doing it, you know?
Which is why awesome. I feel like it's a very important thing, especially when it contributes to my art.
Yeah.
To be able to talk about that. Because it's like, you know, before when I was just making art, I was like, oh, I just feel stuff and I make stuff.
Yeah.
But now it's like, I know why I'm making it, and I know why it's important to talk about why I'm making it. You know?
I honestly feel like everyone should go through therapy.
Oh my God,
I went through 6 years of it, and it was the most enlightening. Mm-hmm. It's almost like going into it, I did not know how horribly unhappy I was.
Really?
And then you come out of it and you're like, oh my God, you don't have to feel like that? And it's incredibly... Uh-huh. And you have to be in the right frame of mind.
Oh, totally.
Like, you have to want to work on yourself.
You have to want to be able to talk about yourself. Yeah. I
like to talk about myself.
Tell me about it.
Well, the funny thing, and this is the thing, like, most people don't, like, understand about me, is I am an incredible introvert. Mm-hmm. And the fact that I have a podcast now is crazy. Mm-hmm. Growing up in high school, I didn't speak to anyone. You know, like, I can go back through my elementary school and go, okay, from... you know, 2nd to 3rd grade, this was my friend. Mm-hmm. Through 4th grade to 7th grade, this was my friend. Like, there was a friend in a specific amount of time. And, like, even that friend, like, I didn't have heart-to-hearts with, you know? Yeah. It was just like, this is the person. Yeah, the person that I talked to, mm-hmm. you know, and it was, you know, I was an adult before, like, any of that made sense and how fucked up that is.
I touch upon that. It took me... I wish as a child I could see myself as an adult, look back on myself as a child, because I'm an extroverted introvert, whereas I appear as an extrovert.
Yeah.
But in reality, I'm, you know, the thing is, I can, like, entertain at parties.
Yeah.
So most people think that you're not an introvert because you can do that. But there's so much that goes on inside.
Yeah.
That it's like, you know.
And that's the thing, is, like, when I was a kid, I was into art. I was into music. Mm-hmm. So I marched in marching band. I was on stage performing. In elementary and junior high, I act in plays. So being in front of people wasn't unusual for me.
Yeah.
But that's different because it wasn't really me. Mm-hmm. You know, so being being myself in front of people is, like, totally different.
Yeah, it's been a crazy step talking about things that I'm really ashamed of, which is, you know, I wouldn't say I'm ashamed of them anymore because I understand why I think them and I understand where they came from. Like, I hurt myself for a really long time.
Yeah.
I was a person who I harmed myself all the time. And it's embarrassing to admit it. But the thing is, like, I have the ability to admit it. Mm-hmm. I have the resources, having that extrovert part of me, that I can take the introverted pieces of me that have been, like, chilling out in this, like, freezer of my heart for years.
Yeah.
And I can put them out. Because hopefully someone who doesn't have those resources will see them and they'll be like, you know what? I'm not alone.
So now do you feel that your relationships and friendships now are more meaningful?
Oh, 1,000%.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I don't think I'd call anyone my best friend for a really long time until, like, the last few years. You know, it was really hard to connect with people because I felt like I was hiding a good chunk of myself for a really long time. And these people thought they were seeing a part of me because I thought I was showing them a piece of me by showing them my art, showing them who I was, and talking to them about my secrets, the people I liked. But I wasn't actually talking about, like, you know, the motions I went through and why I made stuff. And, you know, all the aspects that come into creating something and being who you are every day. There's so much of me that I never talked about. And now I feel like it's the first time in my life. I say this to a few people, is I feel like this past year is one of the years that I've first felt like myself, because I've first been so connected to who I am.
So here's the $64,000 question. Would you give up all that struggle to feel normal? Or
it's such a hard question.
It's a super hard question.
I always say...
Because everyone wants to be like, oh, it's Leave It to Beaver, and my childhood was perfect, and my parents are awesome.
I always say...
I won the game-winning soccer goal at the match and kicked it field goal thing, sports thing.
I always say it must be fantastic to be ignorant, because I feel like I know so much now.
Yeah.
Not only about myself, but the research I've done in the world, the people I've met that have been hurt. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, the thing is, when you live in that bubble of things are great, there's only so many people you talk to that their stories stick with you, because you discard the stories of hurt and you keep the stories of positive, you know? So it's like, I always say that it'd be amazing to be ignorant. I would love to be nice and ignorant and happy and watch football and not think about brain injury or, you know, racial injustice, all this stuff. Yeah. But the thing is, like, I wouldn't trade that for who I am today, because I feel there's so much more depth.
Well, I feel like the great stories don't come from Jimmy was born and had a perfect childhood.
Yeah.
You know, the great stories where I struggled through hardship. I picked myself up by my bootstraps.
Yeah.
And made something in my life in spite of myself. Did I fuck myself over? Or, you know, like...
I mean, it'd be nice to be handed some cash from my daddy and not have to deal with this shit.
You know, I would really love for, like, some long-lost uncle to pass away and give me some money.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's not realistic, and I don't feel like those stories are inspiring. I feel like the inspiring... So, my girlfriend tends to watch the same thing over and over and over and over again.
I've seen The Office like 10 times, I understand.
And one of her current things is Catch Me If You Can. And oh god. Frank Abagnale Jr. is the character's name. And
it's Leo DiCap, right?
Yeah. But who's a real person. And I find him amazingly inspiring. Because he fucked up his life immensely and then turned it all around. And he went from, you know, a felon, chased all over the world, in jail, and then turned his life around and started to work for, you know, the legal system and, you know, put his life together. I think that is more inspiring than someone who's just like, you know, I had everything going for me and a scholarship and this, that, and the other thing, and...
Well, I mean, there's the thing is, even if the person, like, the thing is, on the outside, my partner, who knew me from afar in high school, always told me that they thought I was someone who had my shit together, because I was, you know, I went to nationals for speech and debate, I was the lead in drama club,
So you were, you were struggling with all these things, and you were on the debate team?
Yeah.
Right.
I was the captain of the speech and debate team.
That's one of those, like, really faceted, you know...
Yeah,
like,
so that should be known. I was the captain of the speech and debate team. I went to nationals my senior year. It was a thing. I was very good at debate. Those are the glory years for me.
But, I mean, that's the same thing with me. Is like, I could get up on stage and perform. I could play an instrument. I could act.
It was just another character I slipped into.
It made no difference to me.
That's why I could do those things.
Like, I never got stage fright.
I didn't either.
But
I could do that, and I could play sports,
But to talk to one person, fucking forget it. Forget it.
To talk about someone that meant something in the past was really hard for me, because it was so easy to just be a character. Yeah. And to, you know, I did sports. I was in softball, so I could easily slip into the, like...
She was a jock.
I was a little jock for a little bit.
Oh, hush,
so,
man, boy.
What?
Hush, marching band boy.
I wrestled, thank you very much.
I was in wrestling team in 4th grade.
Yeah, I blew my elbow out.
Oh, yeah. I didn't.
I wrestled for about 2 months, and I blew my elbow out.
I'm pretty sure she could still take you.
Pretty sure I could too.
And,
I don't think so.
All, Andy, touch it.
I definitely outweigh her. By a significant amount.
Andy, I could bench press you.
Challenge accepted.
I'm saying that because we're on a podcast and no one can actually see.
Feel like that's true at all.
Okay,
and I'm not commenting on your strength. I am commenting on my fatness.
If you'd like, after the episode, you can try to pick them up.
Yeah, can we get a picture of me trying to bench?
First of all, please be careful. My ankle is freshly healed.
I'll be very careful.
All right. I'm
dainty.
I'm very dainty.
Beautiful little
When
baby.
I drink my beer, I hold my pinky out.
I do that too. That's the thing I do.
So we were supposed to talk about your artwork.
Yeah, okay, we'll go back to my artwork. Anyway,
But this is super interesting. Like, this was really great.
Well, I think I've been on a few podcasts about my art within the last few years. And
I feel like you've talked about pilgrims on podcasts, too.
I have. Twice. Leading up to them, and it's interesting listening to them because, like, more and more I talk about my mental illness.
Yeah. Because
I'm becoming more comfortable with it.
I feel like it's... And I don't think you... I'm going to make an assumption about you right now.
You can do that.
But I don't know if you realize how important that could be. Do you know the guys that do Penny Arcade and they run PAX East?
I know a little bit of PAX East. I know a little bit of Penny Arcade.
So there's two guys. I'm gonna fucking botch their names. Jerry Gahulik. Yeah, Jerry Holkins and Mike Gahulik.
Yeah.
Yes.
Woo!
And I knew them because they would play D&D, and I'm a big nerd, and it was funny. And then
you don't have to say you're a big nerd every time you guys bring up D&D. I like D&D too.
Well, you're a big nerd.
Okay, fine. All right, fine. You win.
First of all, I don't mean nerd as a bad thing.
I was going to say, you don't have to
First of all, I can use the N-word.
The white person N-word.
The white person N-word. But then I saw them... No, leave that in. The N-word is nerd.
No, I'm just separating...
Wait, is there another N-word I don't know about?
Is there another?
Nobody tell him it's magical.
So, but I saw them do a panel at one of their PAX. It was on YouTube. And it was literally the two of them talking about their depression and their mental illness and about how they didn't understand and then they got medicated and they're like, oh my God, this is how real people work. And, you know, and the people's response was like, thank you so much for talking about it. Like, it is so important to be able to be like, this is my issue. I'm not perfect.
I'm dealing with it.
Right. But I can, like, and if you are, you can still be a person, you know?
Yeah.
And it is so important.
I think that's amazing to a lot of people. I hate to, toot my own horn and say that I come off as a certain way, but I know I'm a high-functioning person.
Yeah.
I know I present myself on the internet and in person as a very specific way because it's very easy for me to switch on.
Yeah.
So when I post those things, I often do get responses from people who are like, thank you so much for talking about this, and because I always say at the end, like, message me. If you ever want to talk, I want you to know that you can talk to me.
Now, do you feel that you put on, like, a persona, like a character when you are high-functioning?
Oh, 1,000%.
That you just kind of
I'm doing it right now. Literally, like, it's like, I'm just, you know what I mean? Like,
No.
But that is something I've done in my life. At work, at events, like, I could see it more drastically. Like, if I'm, on a work event or something, like, I'm tired, but I need to be on for people.
Yep.
Like, older white rich people, like, haha, I gotta impress everyone. Things like that.
And I feel like work is one thing, but being high-functioning social is a different thing. And that's a lot harder.
Yeah, I can, over the last, like, at least year, where I've come more, have an understanding of who I am. Like, coming to life drawing has one part where I've started to, be myself a little bit more.
Is that the life drawing at the New World Tavern the first Monday of every month?
Yes, Andy.
I've heard about that.
It's the live drawing at New World Tavern the first Monday of every month. It's $8. Come on down. We always got a cute little model you can draw.
I've heard that's a fantastic event.
Yeah, it's a wonderful event. Bring your friends. A little advertising here and there, but when I first started coming, I tried to make myself very high functioning in talking to people around and even talking to you and like just existing and stuff. And as I've gone, I've started to become a little bit more myself, and where, like, Tina, you don't have to talk to everyone. You could just sit, and if you're having a bad day, you can just go have a beer and draw.
Yeah.
You don't have to have conversations with people. You can just exist and it's okay. Like, it's completely fine to just be yourself.
Yeah.
And it's like...
And I feel like Inebri-art, I feel, has been started intentionally, but spun off to something totally beyond what we ever intended it to be.
Yeah.
And in the life drawing is something very much that, because it's very, like, I don't think of those people as like, oh, you're coming to my life drawing. It's like, oh, I'm so happy to see all of you here. And what the fuck was that? First of all, no.
I'm so sorry. I'm wearing a button shirt, and I was itching, like, my shoulder, and I realized there was
She just pulled a $5 bill out of her shirt, like,
bill out of my...
Ta-da!
It was a $5 bill stuck in my sports bra, and I put it in there earlier.
I don't know, but that
sometimes,
fucked with my
listen,
shit right
when
there.
you're a girl, things don't have pockets. Sometimes you gotta put stuff in your bra, and that's what that was from.
That's fine.
I'm wearing leggings today.
You just can't, like, do that shit to us,
So
because we're like,
sorry.
what was that?
I forgot I'm with two very immature men.
It's magic trick time.
That's what it is.
No,
Anyway,
I'm sorry.
I'm so
That's
sorry.
totally no. That's fine. It just
I didn't realize it would. I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
Sometimes I realize that people aren't me, and they will
we
say something.
we are very immature. Thank you for like acknowledging us.
Thanks for pointing out the painfully obvious.
Yes, because we're both like booby 5.
Literally.
Because I didn't even know. All I saw was her like holding up $5. I didn't even know where it came from.
I went like this itch, and I was like,
Like I looked at the recording. I turned back. $5. Amy is baffled. Like, shit, did I just miss magic trick?
Yeah, you did.
Fuck.
that $5 came from my bra, and I probably put it there about 2 p.m. today.
So when you're a little kid, they pull quarters from behind your ear. We're an adult. It's
And when
$5 from your
you're 26,
boobs.
a $5 bill comes out of your bra.
Hold on. I got nothing.
Nothing?
Sorry, guys.
All right.
You should start wearing bras. That's where it comes from.
First of all, don't assume I'm not. Second of all,
Everyone
back to
needs
life
a little
drawing.
I feel like that is admitting defeat in a way that I'm not super comfortable with.
We can go back to life drawing. Don't worry, guys. You don't have to admit to anyone.
No, but this is normal.
Yeah.
But it's such a great group of people. You
Yeah,
know,
I've loved coming
they're
to life
so
drawing.
friendly.
It stinks that it's always the first Monday of the month, which
Yes,
is like...
that's
It
how
is
we
the
do
first Monday of every month at
Wait.
New World Tavern, $8.
Which, like, is amazing because you have such a great space and an accessible location. But the last few months have just been places I couldn't go to. I can't wait to go again.
But you know what's really funny
love
is
it.
when we first started it, the people who attended were very much our friends from Comic-Cons.
Yeah.
And it always felt like the day after Comic-Con. And people were like, you have to move it, you have to move it. I'm like,
And
no,
then,
it is the first Monday of every month.
Oh, it's always good. It's good to keep it like that.
Yeah.
I'm
And
really
it just
looking
makes
forward
it
to
easier.
Monday.
Yeah.
Hence the night I had to draw,
Yes.
which was
Our fourth?
third. No, yeah.
Fourth. We had 3 people show up, including the 2 of us.
Great. Oh, my God.
No,
And
okay.
the model's coming back this time.
Oh, man. Yeah, and she's pregnant.
She is. She's starting a family.
can't
Sean
wait.
is awesome.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to life drawing coming. It should be known. I should let you guys know this. I don't think I've told you this. When I moved back from New York and I was in that really dark place.
How long ago was that?
November 2015. So we're hitting 2 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was just a few months. I started going to. It took me about, I think, 6 or 7 months. Like the following fall, it took me a little while to get back into like art. I took a serious.
So is
break.
this Tina coming back to adult art?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
This was a huge, like, relearning who I was and understanding, that I'm not the monster who I was. And basically, when I moved back, I was really struggling because all of my friends lived in New York. My art scene was in New York. Everything I knew was in New York. And everything I knew here was, like, it was just, like, the sad suburbs for me.
Yeah.
Because when I was here, I was just ridiculed and I didn't feel comfortable. And, there's a bunch of misfits in New York who I was friends with, that kind of thing. But then I found about Inebri-art, and I went to...
She pointed right at me when she said misfit. I just feel like that was a thing.
I pointed you when I said Inebri-art. Don't do that to me. But I found out about Inebri-art, and I remember messaging...
Do you remember how you found out about us?
It was just... I was just trolling Facebook, just looking for something. I was looking for drink and draws.
Yeah.
Because I used to host them at my apartment when I was in New
nice.
York.
Cool.
I used to do drink and draws, and I invite my friends, bring a 6-pack to put in the pile.
Yeah.
And we all would take... Everyone would take a turn being the model. for a few minutes.
Yeah.
So if you came, you were you had to be a model for at least 5 minutes. And we would all change off and do drawings. And so it was a bunch of art kids, just like, I did this since college. We used to do that all the time. Every Saturday night, it's like a good, easy reason to get drunk and draw each other.
Right, yeah.
So I used to do that all the time, and I was looking for a good drink and draw around here, because I was like, I want to draw. I want to draw again.
And then she found Plymouth's original drink and draw. That is Inebri-art.
And I did.
At which point we had stopped at draws.
Yeah, we used to do those like every week.
Yeah, it was.
But it wasn't like a mono thing. It was just get together and draw.
Down and doodle.
The life drawing was a huge game changer for me, and it really helped spiral me back into like becoming a part of an art community and understanding that my art it's not just a coping mechanism for me. It could be a coping mechanism for other people.
Yeah.
So
wait, your art is a coping mechanism for other people?
When you make art that's relatable to other people.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean? People can look at my work and see why I make it and feel less alone.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's not really only why I make it, but it's one of the reasons.
Yeah.
It made me realize that there's much more reasoning to keep making art. You know what I mean? Like, even if I'm not feeling something at that time, there's a reason to paint that day. There's a reason to do something that day. I don't have to do it every day, but there's a reason to. Because there's someone else out there who's waiting.
You could do it every day and take part in Inebri-art's Daily Drawing Challenge.
Yes, your Daily Drawing Challenge.
So this is Tina and Andy plugging shit.
That's just what this podcast is.
Yes.
It's just plugging.
I have nothing to sell.
T-shirts.
Except
T-shirts.
Life Drawing, New
and
World
T-shirts.
Tavern.
You have
We have T-shirts.
Fine, we have T-shirts.
But yeah, Inebri-art was a big step for me going in the right direction, and I can easily say that, like, even though I haven't gone to any life drawings this summer because I've been like, you know, here, there,
life
left
happens,
and right.
yeah.
Exactly, life has been taking its little toll. Winters are so fucking hard for me. Well, I dropped an F-bomb. But
no, this is fine. You can swear as much as you fucking want to.
In all seriousness,
You can fucking swear as much as you fucking want to.
Okay.
There is no way you can clear the bar we've set on this episode. Don't worry.
Oh, my kids do listen to this, though.
Oh.
Don't worry.
Fuck. Inebri-art really fucking helped me get back to, like, where I was, and I'm really excited to be a part of Inebri-art.
I can truly say that is probably one of the best compliments I've had since we started Inebri-art.
Yeah. Like, although I feel like that I've never actually said something too straightforward, you guys should know that, like, joining Inebri-art and getting involved, like, although it's been, like, a little here and there.
It's like what?
That's me inching in. It's been really cool, and it's given me a reason. The days that I don't want to do work, it's given me a reason to keep doing it, because I like making work.
Well, that's really awesome. I feel like, you know, just like anything else, there's days where I'm like, I don't want to fucking do this. I don't want to post shit. I don't want to go to life drawing.
There's days you don't want to do shit, but you got to do it, because guess what? Someone's waiting for you to do it.
Someone is going to come to you on your podcast the third time they're on your podcast and be like, hey, I really appreciate it. And that's, like, super sweet. And
sometimes things aren't just for profit. They're for the betterment
Inebri-art's not for profit.
Yeah,
at some point we are suddenly for...
Wait, can we define profit? Because I think we might have made like $20
We would like to settle for break-even.
I say that based on, you know, getting up and going to work every day is one thing. You're allowed to take mental health days. So it's like understanding, like, you don't want to do X, Y, and Z to profit the man, but you should do A, B, C to profit your friends in a way that they're not counting on you, but you're probably going to make someone feel better when you post it. So sometimes it's hard to post work and to talk about why I made it. But I know that, like, you know what? Even this gruesome bits, like talking, you know, I hate admitting
that. I love the gruesome bits. So. It's so human, and I feel like those are more meaningful than being like, then I went to art school, and then I did this, and then I got this job. And then to be like, this is my struggle. Is way more important. Yeah,
it's been an interesting journey, and I'm glad that I can capitalize on it in some way.
Yeah.
If anything, you know, like, I'm not just suffering; I'm using it for something. I've always said that to myself. Like, I feel like.
So, do you think the suffering artist is like a real thing? Like.
Oh, 1,000%.
Yeah.
It's like, the thing is, you have the people who are naturally talented who can make beautiful work, but they don't have, like, a reason.
What?
I know. Andy does not like the word talent.
I don't like the word talent.
And I like the word talent because
he's an idiot.
Dude, I can't
the thing
is,
is,
saying the pretty one.
Well, there's a difference. There's two types of artists. There's people in high school. I remember dating this person who was a very talented artist. He made beautiful work, but he had no meaning. He had no story. He had no reason behind it. He just made gorgeous technical work. Whereas my work was less technical, but I feel like everything I created had a reason behind it.
And see,
you know, even if it was for me.
The thing that bothers
else.
me about talent is it diminishes the amount of time that they put into it. You know, even if they are technically amazing, and this is one of those things that, you know, with the art show we had this past, it's so hard. We did it to ourselves. We're like, we're going to pick first, second, and third, and all the artwork shows up, and we're like, what did we fucking do to ourselves? Because there is 40 pieces here, and they're all amazing. Mm-hmm. And then you have to decide, okay, this one appeals to me, but that one is technically better. Mm-hmm. And this one is somewhere between the two, and that one's a piece of photography, and that one's sculpture.
There's a huge, especially when art show like that, where there's not only are there so many different mediums, but you don't get context.
Yeah, and
you don't get backstory,
right?
But the thing is, you guys also know some people.
Yes, and some people we don't.
So it's it must be really.
We had one gentleman that we hung here at the craft beer cellar who submitted a piece to our last show, and it was technically gorgeous. It was exactly how the marina looks like. Mm-hmm. But you look at it and you're like, it's the marina. Like,
wow, that's a beautiful painting on the marina.
Right, yeah, exactly. And it was gorgeous, but it's the marina. I don't really give a shit about the marina. And I love Chris. Chris is a super nice guy. But it's like, that is not what appeals to me. Like, I like more lowbrow art, you know?
We all have different, understandings of art, which is why there's people who profit off of making just, paintings of beaches, and then there's people who profit off of making just like single canvases with like 3 colors on them, and just different there's different art doesn't exist in a vacuum. Art needs context, or art doesn't need context. It's the thing is, it's all different. It's so subjective. That's the beauty of it.
And I've had conversations about that, and people have been like, well, what does it mean? And be like, well, can it just look cool?
I have the 2 types of art. It's like, wow, this had a reasoning behind it, and then this is like, I just wanted to make this. I remember I was in an art show a while ago, and I made a bunch of art. It was like a time in my life where I was very, I drank a lot, so I pushed a lot.
What is that like? He says, taking a swig of beer.
I put a lot of my feelings down.
Sample of beer.
I said swig.
Yeah.
Swig
this
is a
like
sample.
My senior year when I was putting Jameson in my tea in the morning. I was drinking a little bit more than I should have. And I remember I was at this art show and I had a few pieces in it. And this woman kept asking me, what is your art about? Like, what is this? And kept trying to I see like this thing here. And kept trying to put shit to it. And I was like, lady.
And this is the thing is like, I feel like you can tell when those people are full of shit.
She was full of emotion, full of feeling, and I feel like she was just like begging me to give her an answer. And I was like, I took her hand. I was like, listen, I really want to tell you something good right now, but I'm going to tell you I just wanted to paint a severed hand. So I did. So
I'm going to tell you a really funny story. A friend of mine brought me to a mass art exhibit. I think it was like 3 artists. It was kind of like their master thesis show or whatever. Mm-hmm. So these are legit artists. They're really great stuff. And there was one, so like you almost like walked around a corner, it was like all by itself, tucked behind, and it was this projected image on a wall of like a car driving by what looked kind of like a bar or maybe a package store, and it looked kind of like a vintage. And then on the floor were like these stacked plastic cups and cocktail stirrers and like kind of like a cork to a wine bottle and like whatever. And so my buddy's like, oh, I think it's like this thing about prohibition and blah blah blah. And the artist kind of looks around the corner and goes, oh shit, my kids left all that trash, and he like picks up everything off the floor. And you're like,
oh my god.
And it made me laugh so hard because it was just like, like, what is the art, like, what it like, can't it just look cool?
Years ago, I think it was like 2 years ago, someone at the MoMA dropped a piece of trash on the ground, and no one would pick it up because they all thought it was a piece of art.
Yeah, and it's
and people are like, people just walked around and photographed trash because they thought it was art. And it's like, I mean, when you think about that, that's the beauty of art, because all art is subjective. So like a piece of trash is art to some people because it has so much more meaning to others. But like in reality, it's like it's
just a piece of trash.
That's the fucking funny part. That's the best part of it, is that, you know,
sell it. It's like, oh, do you like
don't
that?
try and sell that beer can.
It's $37,000.
Yeah, that's insane.
So I feel like we didn't talk enough about your art, but I feel like we talked a lot about you.
Yeah, we did
and
talk
I feel
a lot
like that
about
was super
me.
important. I feel like we've done, how many episodes have we done?
60?
60.
Well, I feel like my art is, I mean, it is a, while I create art, I feel like it is a extreme direct, like, you know, just as weird.
You mentioned it's like part of you. Yeah.
It is a part of me. It is an extreme direct part of me where, like, when I make art, I really do, you know, hone over parts of it.
Yeah.
And, like, while I'm not constantly thinking of concepts and, like, doodling and stuff, it's just, like, when I make stuff, it is really, like, there's stuff in it. And there's a reason I'm making it. And there's a reason I put that brushstroke there. And it was because I felt like I needed to at that time for, you know, reasons. So,
but I'm gonna say 60 episodes in, more than that, because we have like fucking 1,000 podcasts now. I feel like this is one of the most important ones we've done.
Cool.
Because of the openness that you've had.
I'm glad.
And I really appreciate it.
Thanks.
And the stuff you said about Inebri-art is super flattering.
Oh, badass. I'm glad.
And hopefully people will hear this and hopefully it will affect them. And if they do have a positive effect from this podcast, I hope they reach out to us.
Yeah. Hey, everyone.
Where can they find you online?
Yeah. All right. I'll give this out. If you listen to my podcast.
Fucking fish.
If you
pack
listen
bags.
to
We're done.
Fish, Andy, and me
Inebri-art is now
tonight.
Tina.
You heard.
Sandy, you are more replaceable than I am.
If you heard me talking about, you know, stuff tonight that you want to talk about, you can find my art at Christina-Scott.com. You can find my art and me on Instagram at Saltwater Club. Feel free to always send me a message. I'm on Facebook, Christina Scott. I'd be more than happy to talk to you about mental illness and art. I'm always more than welcome to talk. The thing is, I only found out about these things about myself from conversations from people who I didn't know. So, you know, take a step and reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to talk to you. I'm going to plug one more thing. I run a beer blog. You should follow me at Beer and Thoughts. It's on Instagram. Just follow all my Instagram accounts.
It's pretty great, and I'm not saying that because I'm on it.
But yeah, feel free to add me. I don't update my website as much as I probably should because, like I said, my art is definitely for myself. But I would be more than happy to always talk about art and the creation of process, because I feel like process is just as important as the art itself, and it does not get enough recognition. So yeah, this one's for the process.
Well, that's kind of like what this whole thing started from, was kind of to understand everyone's. I always say is to talk to creative people about what they do and how they do it, and that's really kind of the. If we can get one sentence worth of information out of any podcast, to me, it's worth it.
Yeah.
And I feel like we got a lot more today.
Cool.
So,
I'm really glad I could be here tonight.
Yeah,
it was fun.
I'm super glad, and you're welcome back anytime. Within a year, because we don't have people back within a year, even though we've
I was going to say,
like 3
you want
fucking
me
times in like
back?
6 months.
I mean, that's a really nice invitation.
No, you're welcome back anytime.
Awesome.
And so check out our artwork. I have a sneaking suspicion she'll be featured in a book very soon. I've heard some rumors about that, and you can rumors. She has something.
I'm
else
sorry.
To say.
Could
No,
I
go
name
ahead.
drop? I didn't even talk about this.
Name drop whoever you want.
I
Go
feel
ahead.
like it's a huge thing.
We just started rambling, and that's how
I
this
work
shit
on
goes.
another thing that is a huge aspect. I talked about my art a lot, but
You do a cartoon.
I work on a
comic strip. Sorry, don't give me that look.
I work on a
Don't give me
collaborative.
that look. I'm trying to like help.
I work on a collaborative
It's
comic.
called The Fetus.
It's called Gregory the Fetus.
Yes.
I work on it with a friend of mine, and it's a collaboration of our trauma. And we use that as a catalyst to, like, propel this comic. It's on Instagram. We update it every week. It's Gregory the Fetus. Gregory the Fetus. It's also on Tumblr. We're hopefully going to be getting a domain soon. So, yeah, please follow that because we update every week, and there's a lot more to come. It's been about, like, Been doing it for like 8 months now.
I feel like we
really cool.
started promoting it at a Life Drawing a while ago.
Yeah, it's really...
Or by a while ago, I mean the last one you went to.
I mean... yeah, all right. But as someone who... I mean, literally, like, as someone who uses their mental illness as art, consistency has always been a really hard thing for me because I never really think about what I did 10 months ago. Yeah. I think about what I'm doing today. So to continue with a project like this has been really rewarding.
And that is like the number one thing about content is being consistent.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about where this comic's going and how it is. If you like my work and you like the message it brings and where it came from, you'll like that this contributes. There's 2 people contributing similar.
And who's the other person?
My friend is Madalena DeBenny. She lives in Brooklyn right now where I used to live. And we have a Skype chat every week, and we talk about what we want to do, where we want to go. We just talk about life together, and then we branch the comic off of that. So we use our own lives and our own traumas to really push forward this narrative of this character, Penny, who has a some sort of miscarriage and is now haunted by a fetus. She's a teenage girl who has a fetus that follows her around and talks to her about life and figures out things for her and helps her. And it's kind of a way to realize that your trauma can help you, but also be a hindrance. So it's understanding the balance of those two, and it's something that we've both learned to do in our lives, and something we want Penny to learn. And we hope that people reading it will also, take that message and apply it.
That is probably one of the things I've said multiple times is every creative person has a dark side, and it's a fine line,
Totally.
We try to help it. Try to use it to help you creatively and not fall onto that other side where it starts to just self-destruct. I
don't want anyone to hurt themselves, but you got to bleed to feel something, baby. Don't hurt yourself.
Don't do that. But emotional pain. But emotional pain is very valid.
It is, yeah.
And sometimes no one wants to hear a good love ballad.
Right?
It's always a ballad about
You only want to hear a love song when you're in love, baby.
Right.
How many days is that of the year? Like 4? Come on.
I remember back in high school, fuck you both, because it was way longer ago than both of you.
Back in 1903.
Yeah. Shut up. There was a band called Ugly Kid Joe, and they had this song that would not leave the charts.
What was it?
It was called Everything... Oh, fuck, now. Everything I Know I Hate About You, something like that. And it's this angsty, I hate you song. And there's a reason why it wouldn't leave the charts. And it's Fish is looking it up now.
One job.
Yep. It's... I feel like from darkness comes creation.
Oh, yeah.
And it's
the opposite of war is creativity.
Right, and it's almost, I don't want to say embrace it, because I don't want anyone to go through struggle, but when you are going through struggle, realize that it's important.
Yeah, embrace the lessons you're learning, even if you're not recognizing them at the time. At least recognize that there's going to be a point in the future where every problem's temporary.
Yeah.
You're going to be able to look back, and you're going to be able to maybe take something from that. And even if something isn't temporary, like you have a debilitating life illness, a mental illness, you're going to keep evolving. Your growth isn't just, you're not going to stop growing and understanding yourself. If anything, you're just going to go a little deeper and grow a little more wider.
So, quick side note, do you know who Mark Zupan is?
No.
Personal hero of mine.
Uh-huh.
There's a movie called Murderball, and it is about the U.S. paraplegic rugby team. Mark Zupan was paralyzed through no fault of his own. He passed out in his best friend, the bed of his best friend's pickup truck. His best friend got in the truck drunk, spun out, flung him out of the bed of the truck, down an incline where he hung onto a branch. And he broke his spinal cord and was paralyzed.
Holy shit.
He then went on...
I thought I had it bad.
Right, yeah. No shit, right? He then went on to lead the U.S. paraplegic rugby team. Was in this movie, was on Jackass on MTV, did all these things. He was on Larry King, and Larry King said, if you can have a cure today, and get up and walk away from your chair, would you? And he said no. He's like, I was just Joe Schmo, average, out of a chair, but with my hardship, I've won medals, I've been on MTV, I've done all these things. So take your darkness and do something with it.
I haven't been on MTV, but...
Have you?
No. Actually, you know what? I was on MTV once.
Get out.
We had,
like
True
when
Life,
there were videos?
True Life recorded at my high school.
I don't even know that show.
It was like True Life.
Extras
like,
time.
Yeah, huh?
I stopped watching MTV at,
Anyway.
Real World.
True Life is a show that they would take people and, they wanted something. And was it True Life or was it Made? No, it was Made. True Life was
I don't know any of these shows.
I was on Made. Made is when they take basic human beings and they, give them... Thanks. They teach them... Anyway, I was on it once. That doesn't matter. I was not on MTV as a star. Yeah. But I can 1,000% say that the lessons I learned... No. I was on the morning announcements and I was, a host of, shows in high school.
Oh my god! If someone finds that on YouTube, please send it to me.
So I did
Inebri-art at yahoo.com. I would so
Silver
love
Lake's
to see
Got
that.
Talent. I was Cape Cod's Got Talent. I was a host for both of those.
Oh my god! I want to see that.
Made
Google that shit right now.
The episode I was on, I'll throw this out there. Bryce Fallon was a friend of mine who graduated from Silver Lake.
I don't know who that is either.
I was the host of the Silver Lake's Got Talent that he was a dancer on. Anyway, the thing is that you guys are really retracting from my final statement.
Oh, sorry. I got sidetracked that you might be on YouTube.
I was not on MTV. But my life has meaning because of the trauma I went through. Although I would not pray that anyone has to deal with the bullshit that I went through, I look back and I'm like, you know what? It made me who I am today, and for the first time,
maybe that could help someone else.
I like myself now.
We like you.
Thank you. It took me a really long time to like myself, and
It took me 5 minutes to like you.
I'm glad. It was the first time I showed up for Inebri-art and I handed you $8, and I was like, I want to draw a person.
Yes, I was like, I love
thanks
this
for your
chick.
money,
This
friend.
chick is awesome.
But really, while trauma sucks while you're going through it, if you can look back and you can say, damn, I learned a life lesson, it's everyone, it'd be really cool to be ignorant and stupid and
I don't know if it'd be
celebrate.
Cool. It would be pleasant.
It'd be a lot more fun.
It'd be
easy.
Yes.
It'd be a lot more easy.
Easy is the word you're looking for.
It'd be a lot more easy. But the thing is, I know what I know now, and there's no way I'd ever want to be in that position. I'm so happy to know what I know now. And I'm so happy to be able to talk to people and have these connections that I do based on the trauma I have. Yeah. It's it'd be cool if we didn't deal with trauma, but we do. So it's nice to have solidarity while you're functioning. So kids,
stay in school. Don't do drugs.
Stay in school. Don't do drugs. And if someone's making fun of you, tell them, hey, I'm going to be a better person in 10 years. And
they're going to beat you up for that. But just bear in mind that...
Just send me an email and we'll talk about it.
So,
that being said, please reach out to me. My email is youcancallmetina@gmail.com. Please reach out to me if you ever want to talk about art and mental illness, because I'd be more than happy to be open with you.
And I think
it's not talked about enough.
I think the most important thing is don't do something to yourself. Get help. Ask for help.
Yes.
And if the people you ask don't give you help, ask someone else. Because you are more important than anything else. Because frankly, if you're not here, then you're not going to listen to our podcast. But really,
it took me a long time to get help because I didn't ask for it and I didn't know where to look.
And you'd be surprised.
In the day and age where resources are available, and even if they aren't, here's one: email me. You can call me Tina@gmail.com, and I would be more than happy to direct you in an instance where you could probably gain at least a little bit of solidarity and recognizing that you're not alone. Listening to this podcast right now, you will know that you're not alone. There's 3 people in this room that understand you and want to be your friend.
So it's me, you, and who else? No, seriously, and I try to make light, but thank you, Tina, so much.
You're welcome.
I feel like people like you are so important.
Listen, I've been making fun of my own mental illness for years. It's okay. Make light of it. That's how you get past it. That's how you get through it.
Is like, you have to accept what you have, and don't be too serious about shit.
Yeah, you can't ignore it. that's just how, Andy and I are ending this on like 8 we've ended it like 8 times.
I know. I feel like this is the podcast that never ends.
Yeah, Andy and I are like, well, have you thought about this?
And then like, ha ha ha, dick joke, ha ha.
But don't hurt yourself.
Yeah.
But really, we'll end it on this. Don't hurt yourself. Email me. Have a great night. Do something good. Take care of yourself.
High five. Let's end on a high five. So it's Miller time now, I guess. Thanks for listening to the Inebri-art podcast. And if you get a chance, we have Jam Packed with Matt and Jeff, another podcast that we put out where they review and talk about all things horror movie related. And then starting in September, we have 2 more podcasts coming out. The Bar Talk, hosted by Carl and Jordan, and they'll be talking to bartenders and owners and restaurant staff of all kinds about the crazy things they go through. So that'll be a lot of fun. And then we also have the Old Colony Cast, another weekly podcast about all things Plymouth and surrounding areas, events, anything going on, interesting people. So if you're a tourist or you live in the area, make sure you check that one out for all sorts of cool stuff. And thanks for listening.